Hey guys, Level Cap here, and this week in gaming, DICE gave us new Battlefield 2042 info. Warzone got its first ban wave in 2 months, a War Thunder player leaked classified documents, and much more. It didn't seem like we would get any new Battlefield 2042 info before EA Play next week, but DICE released a new blog post announcing some major details anyway. 2042 will offer crossplay and cross-progression. The technical playtest was originally scheduled for this month and has been pushed to later this summer to test these new features. Crossplay will work between PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One players can play against each other, but only in isolation from the other platforms. That's because of their technical limitations. Last-gen consoles only support 64 players and maps with smaller playable areas. Crossplay will also be optional, so you can disable it if you want. However, it's either on or off. There's no way of picking which platforms you play against. Cross-progression will work regardless of what platform you're on or move to. This is a massive win for Battlefield players because it usually takes dozens of hours to unlock all the guns and attachments. Switching platforms can be a chore if you want to play with your favorite weapons or attachments. Purchases like cosmetics and battle passes will also transfer between platforms. The blog post also clarified a ton of gameplay stuff like how AI bots work, how specialists impact loadout customization, balancing the all-class weapons options, the vehicle call-in system, and factions. We did a full breakdown of all this info, so be sure to check out that video. The key takeaway is that there's really still a lot of info up in the air regarding 2042's balance and other dynamics. It's certainly a safe bet to assume that the game is going to have the typical balance issues at launch. It'll be interesting to see how all weapons for all classes makes balance even more difficult, or maybe less difficult, who knows. DICE say they're taking a proactive approach to balance for 2042. They'll be quick to make changes and carefully consider everything about the class system. But what are your thoughts? Are you excited about crossplay? Let us know in the comments. EA Play Live kicks off on Thursday and will offer more info about 2042's redacted game mode. They'll also announce dates for the game's playtest and betas. EA also confirmed that there won't be any new Star Wars games announced at the event. Call of Duty Warzone has gotten its first ban wave in over 2 months. Raven issued 2 ban waves this week that took out 50,000 accounts combined. The ban waves targeted repeat offenders. Cheats in Warzone is a real problem for many players. The game's popularity combined with being free to play makes it a massive target. 50,000 bans in a single week sounds like an astronomical number, but it's a drop in the bucket for Warzone. The issue is so bad that many pro players have to make detailed explanations to prove that they aren't cheating. It seems like something really needs to give with Warzone. Either Raven finally implement an effective anti-cheat solution, or the game is destined to be a cheater's paradise. In other Warzone news, the Battle Royale just got its biggest balance update ever. Nearly every weapon in the game had its damage values adjusted to increase the game's average time to kill. The net result is that kills will take an average of 1 to 2 extra shots depending on the weapon. There are still some standout guns that retain their pre-patch TTKs, but overall the game has slowed down slightly. The mid-season update has also updated the ability to tweak your loadouts in the pre-game lobby. Unfortunately, this feature had to be removed due to an exploit that it enabled. It's unclear when it will return. Ubisoft delayed Rainbow Six Extraction again. It's been pushed back from September 16th to January 2020. Extraction recently had a closed beta that went well. It's still up for debate how successful the game will be though. Competition from other titles like Back 4 Blood and Dying Light 2 is sure to be stiff. Reviews for Extraction generally paint it as more Rainbow Six but with aliens. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that the game will ultimately feel like something we've already played a ton of, and it's tough to say if that's actually enough to generate a dedicated player base in these extremely competitive times. A War Thunder fan leaked classified military documents to prove one of the game's tank models was inaccurate. The player claimed the Challenger 2 main battle tank is more vulnerable in-game than it is in real life thanks to changes the developers made to its model. He provided images of the tank's manual on the game's official forums. They feature several redactions and classified and declassified labeling. The developer contacted the UK Ministry of Defence to verify if the manual had been declassified classified or not. It turns out it's a classified document, and leaking such documents carries up to a 14-year prison sentence. It's unclear if the player is actually a former member of the UK military and Challenger 2 tank commander like they say they are. If so, well, they're in some hot water. Data mining on Netflix hints that the streaming giant might be offering PlayStation titles as part of their video game expansion. Netflix recently announced that they will be listing video games within the next year at no extra charge to subscribers, but they haven't announced what games they will offer. Data miners discovered Ghost of Tsushima and PlayStation 5 controller images buried in the Netflix iOS app. This might hint at a partnership with Sony. AMD's DLSS alternative, Fidelity FX Super Resolution, has been added to the Unity and Unreal game engines. Like DLSS, FSR uses intelligent filtering to upscale games from lower resolutions without making major sacrifices to visual quality. Right now, it's not quite as good as DLSS, but that's probably going to change over time. AMD released FSR on GPU Open, which is an open source MIT license. That means anyone can take FSR and add it to their games or software, provided that they adhere to the license. They've also released official plugins for Unity and Unreal. The plugins are only available in beta versions of those engines, but they should make their way to the release builds soon. What this means for the consumers is that more games are going to start offering FSR, giving you a massive performance boost with minimal loss in quality, regardless of what GPU you own. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds' new map, Taego, is finally available. It was added on PC with the 12.2 update. Taego is an 8x8 map that has a mini royale spawn mechanic and self-revive item. It's set in the Korean countryside and is the game's first new large map in 3 years. Reviews of the new map from players and critics have been pretty positive, but there does appear to be a growing sentiment that the game isn't doing enough to age gracefully. Before we get to our final story today, I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in. If there's any big stories this week that you think we missed, let us know in the comments. We're always interested to hear what games and news interest you. Valve announced their long-rumored portable gaming console. The Steam Deck, not the Stream Deck, is a fully fledged PC with a battery and built-in screen. Pricing starts at $400 for a version with 64 gigabytes of storage. It features an AMD Zen 2 CPU and integrated RDNA 2 GPU. That should be enough horsepower to run just about any game at the screen's native 1280 by 800 resolution. You'll probably have to turn some settings down to achieve 60 FPS, but for gaming on the go, there's nothing that compares at the same price point. The Stream Deck ships with Valve's SteamOS installed. It's a Linux-based OS that offers Proton, a translational program that runs Windows titles on Linux without a significant performance hit. And while Proton has excellent compatibility with most games, anti-cheat clients used in lots of popular multiplayer titles block it entirely. That means potentially no Apex Legends, PUBG, or Rainbow Six Siege on Steam Deck, to name a few. Valve say that they're working with those developers to support their games, but ultimately, if you're hardcore enough, you can just install Windows on the Steam Deck if you want and play those games anyway. Assuming the Steam Deck is as good as the specs make it seem, Valve might just have entered the arena as a legitimate competitor to Nintendo. The Switch is one of the most popular consoles ever, and hardware-wise, well, it's frankly more of a glorified tablet from 2017 that only offers a meager selection of popular titles. The Steam Deck, on the other hand, is an affordable mid-range PC that boasts the entire Steam library plus games from other stores. The only thing it doesn't have is, well, Nintendo's exclusive games. It'll be interesting to see how the dust settles. Ultimately, I don't think people will view the Steam Deck as a Switch replacement, but it's certainly an attractive alternative for gaming on the go. Early reservations for the console will start shipping in December. Most orders will probably ship in Q1 or Q2 next year. Unfortunately, the reservation process didn't go as smoothly as planned and sold out quickly in many regions. Reservations are popping up on eBay for double or even triple the device's retail price. And that wraps it up for this week in gaming. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.